a linen material on top of the rendering layer to show more like fabric sofa, to make fabric sofa. I need to, and my big mistake was that the sofa color, I need to I should have tried to use the same color for the sofa, but I failed to do that. So it ended up having two different color of the sofas. So I might need to adjust the color using adjustment tool. Okay, I'll show you how to adjust color right now. Need to find the sofa. Here it is. So here is my sofa layer, and then I will need to separate the selection. Separate. And I'm going to duplicate my selection if it's possible. Okay, is there a duplicate option? Duplicate. Okay, no duplicate option. So I'm gonna duplicate this layer, the whole layer, because I accidentally applied the tablecloth on the sofa layer. So I need to duplicate and then erase one of them to separate them. The duplicate layer first, and then I'm going to erase the whole sofa area under the layer below the duplicate layer. Okay. And then I'm going to delete the tablecloth on the duplicated layer. So each layer, so layer 16-1 has sofa rendering, and layer 16 has tablecloth. So I separate the layer, and then I'm going to adjust the color, go to image, and then go to adjust. Then you can find the similar function we have had in Photoshop. You can adjust brightness, contrast, and also you can adjust hue, saturation. Also you can change color balance as well. So this time I need to change the hue, saturation, because the color is really similar, the only saturation is a matter. So I'm gonna change it. Can you see the difference? So it was here. This is the original image I came from. And I can increase saturation. You see the sofa color was really saturated, and then I need to desaturate the sofa to find similar color of the other side, the sofa on the other side, and then change the lightness as well, so I can create more darkness to make more contrast in the view. Yes, so you can always fix your mistakes. The computer, digital render is easy to edit. That is why I spend more extra time, and that is why I modify this rendering class to add digital rendering, and then extended the duration of the digital rendering of this course, because it is way useful than the traditional rendering tools. And who uses watercolor right now? And And you'll see I attached several elements on the shelf. So I created my own decorations on the shelf, and I try to find when you find the elements for the furniture or items on the shelf, try to consider the lighting. Try to find the match lighting of the existing your rendering and the images you find in Google, because the lighting is not matched. It cannot be if the lighting does not match in the view, it seems a little pasted in. Still, mine has some issues still, so I added some shades a lot, but still I could not overcome the cheesy look yet. But it was like this. I think it was improved a lot compared to the status when I'm pasting all the elements. And when you attach the Google image for the items on the shelf, you need to put them. You need to play with the layer order, because some items need to be above the sketch layer and some items need to be below the sketch layer. So if there is some, like for example the books, this one, the books I pasted, the book need to be behind the things underneath the shelf. So I put it underneath the sketch layer, or you can erase that part, erase that area to make it behind the shelf frame. And the flower should be above the shelf frame, because the flower is more like extended to the outer area of the shelf. So I put it above the sketch layer, or you can erase that part in your sketch. So for the beams, you might would like to consider to use solid fill for that area for the beams. But when you take a look inside of the detail of the original image, let me find. When you take a look deep inside of the elements, you'll see there is some. All the beams have different colors. See the beams right next to the windows, which has a main light source, has a brighter than the beams right in front of you, the beams really closer to the viewer. So compare to this value and this value, you see a little like subtle difference. So that is why I use brush tool rather than paint bucket tool to render the beams. Just to let you know, when you use select tool, please activate the sketch layer when you use select tool, like we did in the Photoshop. Because sketch layer has all the information of the lines. So if you like to select the beam area, the area for the beams, you have to go back to the sketch layer and then use select tool to select the beams. I'll just revisit the beams because I don't think I wanted to make it a little more darker. So change color to more black. And then I usually use brush tool to paint. So I added some values to make the foreground area more darker. So you see the values became different. Says I create some gradually moving shade of the beams. And always compare or compare from the original image to your rendering to find the right amount of shade, right amount of value, right color, and then try not to miss any details of from the original image. So I'm having a hard time to render the window frame. Try not to miss any details of the window frame. Window frame is really important. If you miss some detail, it will obviously show in your rendering. It will change your quality of your rendering. So, and I know, and also I'm having hard time to render the window frame because there are a lot of details, and I got a little bit bored to put my effort on details, but it's necessary. So I keep working on the window frame. Try not to miss any details such as thickness, shadow, and shade. Especially shadow and thickness can be easily neglected. But you see there are numbers of frames layered for the window, and even though you are not showing all the layers of the window, you still need to show some space, or those different values should be shown, and don't forget the thickness of the frame and the opening. So it will show really obviously when you finish your rendering. So really try not to miss any details of the window frame. So I tried. I usually make some. I usually make like duplicated, not duplicate, kind of parallel view to compare. So I trim down my rendering view in a halfway of the screen, and then place the original image next to the rendering to compare the view. So you can directly make see the difference. So if you're having hard time to find the similar color of the original view, try to use color picker. So double click the color pop and you'll find the color wheel to change the color, and you can find the spoid symbol underneath the color wheel, and click the color picker and then click the pixel to find the color. So I mean for me, I need to I'm kind of copy the color information of the frame to apply on my window. So then I use pencil tool to make more thinner and accurate line. And use ruler or perspective guide to make straight lines. Since I saw those ugly lines around the corner, I need to clean them. I think I was going to show you how to add lighting today, but since we don't have any particular artificial light in the view, so maybe we can just skip the lighting for next time. I will show you on the next assignment, next class activity. Because for these activities, there are not specific, no particular artificial light is used in this view, and the main light source is just the sunlight from outside. So I'll skip the lighting today. So just what you need to just keep working on the rendering, and I'll keep demonstrate. And for the apple, use existing original image to paste in your rendering. Because when I Google the apples, it's hard to find the similar light as the apples with a similar light setting. So it'll still work for you to learn how to use existing image and how to modify from whatever image you have. So it'll be okay, or it'll be recommended to use original image for the apple. So for Windows, I use pencil tool rather than brush tool, because I usually use brush tool for wide area with the soft edge. You see my my cursor, my brush setting, it has like no edge. This is how I set my brush without any edges. But for frames, the window frame has a really narrow thickness, and I need to move on. I need to work on the line work rather than the shading work. So I rather use pencil tool by modifying the thickness of the pencil. And I turn on the perspective guideline to make straight lines. And I changed the opacity as well. Currently I'm using 50%. Just by case, it's by case. All the situations are different, so I just keep modifying the brush size and opacity until I found a desirable brush style or pencil style. Bye.